All right, week 2 in the books. Got a lot of great action. A lot of ton of storylines building up, forming here this season. We're going to talk about that, touch upon everything here in this week's podcast, presented by the 110 Grill, the official restaurant of the Legacy Leagues here in Massachusetts. And this week I'm joined by my boys Andrew, my boy DJ. First time on the podcast, all new faces here this week. We'll just get this started right off with, I think, probably the best game of the week. Definitely the best finish of maybe any game in Massachusetts so far across 3 seasons. It's A1 versus Run It Up. All right. So A1 took this one 67-64 against Run It Up. Hendel led the way, 23 points, shooting 50%. Darwin Perea, second most points, 14. Actually, correction. Tito also had 14 points, 6 rebounds. Everyone shooting over 50% there. For Run It Up, Tat Gomes, 18 points. He shot 4 for 5 from 3. He had 4 steals. He was a hound all night on offense. Sean Yard, a quiet night for him, 16 points. Doesn't sound quiet, but that is quiet for Sean Yard, usually out here averaging almost 30. And then Marcus Collins, 15 points, 6 rebounds. Yeah, the big story going into this game was A1, our point guard, Dante, a very familiar face here in Legacy Leagues, MVP of last season, actually ruptured his Achilles this Sunday or this weekend, and he'll be out for the season. So that's probably the biggest loss possible for any team across this league. So that really was a shakeup for the entirety of A1. They had to learn how to play at a completely different pace, new style. Usually Dante's the guy that leads the way. So they had to kind of, lock in for this game. Run Up is a serious team this season, and A1 was definitely not taking this game lightly. That being said, Run It Up shot 60.5% across the field, and they still lost. That's a tough thing to do. You're shooting 60% and you're losing. It's like, what more do I got to do? And that really just comes down to the defensive end and just one possession. This game ended on a buzzer beater. That's probably something important to say. Yeah, Hendel step back three for the win at the buzzer. That's what made this game an A1 victory. But yeah, every defensive play, every offensive play counted in this game. It was a one possession game and a 1% possession difference to end this one. Yeah, it was really the fourth quarter that decided. Run It Up usually struggles in the fourth quarter. Last season they did a lot. This first week they actually didn't at all. They had a great first week in that fourth quarter, but it was an 18-9 run here in the fourth quarter this week. So yeah, DJ, kind of talk about you were on this court, so talk about what you saw from A1. Actually, what you saw from both games. I mean, it was a 3-point game, so there's a lot to say about both teams.
Yeah, I think both teams did really good this week. Just attacking the hoop basically every single play, every single time down the court, back and forth, just going at the hoop every single time. Um, they shot 50% from three, which is good, which I didn't think they really needed to hit those threes most of the time because they were just, every single time they drove the hoop, they were either drawing a foul or they were just getting some crazy dunks in. Um, One critique I do have, this is like for both teams. Um, a lot of the time they were focused on the refs, mostly in the second half, end of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter. I understand that it gets hard, like you're trying to pull away at the end of the game, trying to secure that win. It gets really passionate, but when you're driving the hoop like that in a league like this, you're going to be having a lot of contact on every single play, pretty much, and you're not going to be able to get every single foul call. And sometimes there's a lot of misreads by the refs that I saw, but you can't focus on that. You just got to keep going, keep driving, and just keep being effective.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys have been around, so we gotta, begin to like kind of. I know the Reapers are pretty good. I always hear Kevin talking about like, just give up, just don't worry about the refs. He always tells his team that, and a lot of these other guys got to do that. Just especially when it comes to the fourth quarter, it's like you got through 3 quarters. This is the one that counts. Obviously, you don't want to. I know there's maybe a travel call the ref missed in that fourth quarter, but it ended up okay. So in that moment, you can't really focus on the ref. You got to focus on, you know, the next possession and when it comes down to this close of a game. So it's definitely hard to do when everyone's so passionate, everyone wants to win, but it takes a lot of like, mental lock in to just focus out someone that's kind of like going against you sometimes. So definitely a hard thing to do, but if somebody can master that and win games, that's definitely something that you want to have in this kind of league where not every foul is going to get called. Andrew, do you kind of want to talk about like, A1 was the most dominant team last season, but now they're missing their star. They're missing their guy. What is like something further along in the season that they're gonna have to, change about their game, or maybe just like go ahead mentally, like changing everything. It's a big change. So talk about that.
Yeah, so if A1 is out of one of their top guys, they're really going to have to work on their team synergy now. Obviously, they still have a lot of good players, so as they play, I'm sure they'll get to work together, understand each other more. I'm sure a lot of them already do. So we'll just see where that goes from there.
Yeah, building team chemistry is a key to something in this league. You only got four guys out there at once, so you got to count on everyone you have out there. Those three other guys that are with you. You guys got to be locked in at all times. A lot of new additions to A1. It's not the same team, and we are kind of building that chemistry with Dante involved, and now we kind of got to look past that. But Dante's going to be with us basically. He's still on the team. He's just not going to be playing. He'll be talking to us each week. He'll be coming to the games hopefully. So he's just. It feels like he's still a part of the team. He's just not playing with us. So, but definitely a big loss there. Um, we'll go past that. We've spent enough time with this A1 game. We'll go to the Reapers versus FTG. That'll be our next game. And this was a close one, I would say, for most of the game, but the Reapers pulled away in that fourth quarter. It ended up being 88 Reapers, 77 FTG. Kevin Views, huge game, huge game. 36 points. He had 5 assists as well. Isaac Lane, first game in the Legacy Leagues, 24 points. Yala Smith, second game in Legacy Leagues, starting right where he left off. He had 21 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. I think he went 1 for 1 from three. I don't think he took a three in the first week, but he's showing us he can shoot as well. For FTG, Ethan Austin, 30 points, 11 rebounds, doing what Ethan Austin does. And Denzel Lyles, second game in the Legacy Leagues, 22 points, 6 assists. Um, you know, for FTG, they just couldn't pull away at any given point. I feel like if they went on a run here or there, they really could have just gotten in the Reapers' head. But Reapers are a playoff experienced team. They've made it to the finals. They've stuck with every single game in those finals. They've stuck up to the end. I know we always talk about them losing, you know, both finals games. I'm sure they're sick of hearing that, but um, being able to pull away from a great team like this in a fourth quarter is key to success in any game. So the fourth quarter is really just a foot race to the finish, and the Reapers beat FTG to it. Um, FTG starting 0-2. That they had to play A1 Reapers, two of the best teams in Legacy in the last few seasons. So it's just tough starting 0-2, but they'll definitely bounce back. I know FTG, I know Ethan Austin, he's going to get that team going. A lot of those guys on that team are going to get going too that maybe have been more quiet at the start of the season. Reapers have looked like they've honestly solved the scoring issue they've been facing, excuse me, in these past few seasons. Defensively, they've always been top defensively in the league. Um, but offensively, it's kind of just been Kevin Views and any other guy, any other given night. But Isaac Lane looked very, adjusted to these lower rims right away. And Yala Smith is just a powerhouse on both ends of the court. Defensively, he adds so much, and offensively, I don't think we found somebody that can guard him yet. So that is huge, huge additions for the Reapers. Andrew, do you want to talk about FTG? Why weren't they able to stay with the Reapers? You know what led to their downfall there in that fourth quarter?
I really just think, the Reapers have a lot of guys who are very talented and they were able to hold it together to the very end. FTG was looking very good in the first half, but they really just couldn't keep up by the end of it. There's just too many guys on the other team with the ability to, go back and forth and just keep control of the ball.
No, yeah, defensively, I mean, everyone on Reapers is going to give 100% all the time, and when you're facing four guys on the court that are going to lock down any player at any given night, it's really tough to get going. I mean, that's just compliment to Ethan Austin scoring 30 points, but that's what Ethan Austin does every night, you know? That's how he gets his buckets on no matter who's defending him. But yeah, I mean, still they had held him to 77, which is low, you know. Ethan's honestly usually averages 30, so uh, yeah, it's looking a little rough to start for FTG, but I guarantee you next 2 weeks they get a win. FTG won't go 0-4 100%. It's just not like Ethan Austin to lose that many games in a row. I just don't see it. That being said, I don't see the Reapers losing anytime soon. They look fantastic out there. And yeah, I mean, they're definitely up there in our power rankings and definitely in a championship level team. I think they're ready to fight for another championship, and you know, we'll see if they get it. I have another team I think's going to get it, but you know, I think we know who that is. But we'll move on to our last game, or sorry, second to last game, which will be the B2A, the squad game. And B2A took this one 86-71 versus the squad. Shy Hicks led B2A 21 points. Anthony Cabrera, who's been on fire these last two games, 18 points, 8 assists, 5 steals. He, I think, was top 3 in steals last season, and I don't know, he might have got one last game, he might have not, but 5 steals is crazy from him this game, and he's going to probably continue to do that all season. We'll see. He was in the talks for Defensive Player of the Year last year alongside his teammate, who's also going to be in that talk again, Daraj Devance, who got 5 blocks this game. I think he got 4 the first game, so 9 in 2 games is nuts. He jumps at everything. It's crazy, and his blocks are vicious too. It's not just like tips. He swats those. Another scorer for B2A, Monday Reaver, who's new to this team, 17 points. He had 6 rebounds. Y'all didn't watch B2A last season, but this is a few new faces, but same B2A, you know. Defensively, they've got Daraj and Anthony. Daraj coming with the blocks, Anthony coming with the steals. But now they got a few new scorers, Amandi and Shy, leading the way for not FTD, sorry, B2A this week. But you know, some guys that returned this week, Giovanni Neville, was, I think, either their top scorer or second. He returned this week after missing the first week, and I think he only scored 5, which is very low from coming off a season where you averaged 20 and only averaging 5. But they won by 15, and they didn't need that. So that's, you know, that's a message for the rest of the league. Look at this guy that was, you know, busting y'all last season. Now he's coming, and he doesn't even need to do that to win these games against a good team. The squad is a good team. Don't count them out. You know, Diakite Musa, 29 points, 7 rebounds, and Jay Sean Edwards, last summer he was an all-star, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks. He was filling up the stat sheet. But that team has chemistry. They've played together. They know the legacy leagues. Jay Sean does, and Keandre does. So they've been around the legacy leagues. But you know, B2A has so many options. It just creates a whole problem on offense when you got guard everyone, you know, up close. You can't really switch. When you got a guy that can't really, like a big man that can't really guard Anthony Cabrera, you know, those switches are just deadly. Anthony Cabrera's blown by point guards this season. You know, first game he had a bunch of blow-bys. But yeah, he's on fire. And the squad just couldn't keep up with them. So, you know, tough start for the squad, also another 0-2 team, but they faced obviously 2 really good teams. A win in their future. I mean, I'm not sure. I honestly don't know their schedule coming up very soon, but hopefully they can pull out a win soon. But yeah, I keep saying FTG. A full B2A is a scary team. You know, I feel like any of those guys on any given night can go for 20. And defensively, Daraj is always going to be a problem, and he's honestly the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year so far this year. I don't think anybody's close. So yeah, talk a little bit about that. Andrew, you were on this game, so we'll go back to you. DJ, we'll go back to you next game. But talk about Anthony Carrera and Daraj. Defensively, how are these guys looking? Are they the key to B2A's success? Is it defense? Either way, any way these guys can all score. Is defense the key here?
Defense might be the key here. These guys, as you said, I think you put it best. Even if some of them are having an off day, there's just too many of them. They're all good. They're like a well-oiled machine. So you compare that to the squad. They had some good shooters, but it really just comes down to who can work together better as a team.
And B2A has experience like that. They've got, I think, 4 or 5 guys that have played together last season. So, um, yeah, their chemistry's there. The squad, they're new to Legacy Leagues, a lot of them, so they're still trying to mesh to these lower rims. It's definitely something they got to get used to. B2A just has more experience on these lower rims, so maybe that's why they pull away on this early game. Um, or, the fact that they got all these guys that can score whenever they want. So, yeah. We'll move on to our last game, which is Team ASAP versus the Top Dogs. And Team ASAP pulled away with this one, 118-83 against the Top Dogs. New to Massachusetts League, not Legacy Leagues. He plays in Rhode Island, and he has in the past few seasons. Noah James, he had 35 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. He was doing everything. Kareem Cooper, Karan, and Joe Secator all scored 17 points. Um, it's hard to play defensively against this team when all of those guys are experienced, championship experience, MVP experience. This is the most experienced team so far that we've seen this season. They have everyone that has played before. And coming over from Rhode Island, a lot of these guys play multiple times a week even. So, yeah. Speaking about experience, you know, Joey and Jared have experience. Jared looked like his vintage self, scoring 27 points, 6 made threes. That's what Jared does. But John Later followed up with 17 points, 7 rebounds. Trying their best out there. I think they only had 4 guys to start. Freddie Milligan showed up, scored 15, but he showed up a little late. Yeah, so only 5 guys. It's tough when it's four-man roster out there every possession. You got to get some rest, and when you only got 5 guys, those guys are just a full team ASAP. It's hard to keep up with them. Um, and it was just their game from the jump. Alley oop after fast break dunk 3-pointer. They were nailing them. Yeah. Before I keep talking, DJ, talk about Team ASAP. What went right for them? What's going to continue to go right for them?
Yeah, what I saw was just like absolute just pure domination from start to finish. Like they're shooting 21 3-pointers that game, shooting 60% from the field. That's just, if you're not matching that as an opposing opponent, you're not going to have a chance against this team. Like I saw guys like Noah James, he was just absolutely just on fire, could not miss. Just all the guys just contributing, just really just just pure domination. Just felt like I was watching like the 2016 Warriors. Like they were just hitting everything.
I mean, they looked dominant in their first game against the squad, and then you know Noah James shows up week 2, didn't play week 1, and is their leading scorer. That's scary. And he's, I mean, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. It's not like he was not doing everything else. He was doing more than just scoring, which he's showing us that he can do a lot. So he's made his statement here in Massachusetts, just like those guys did last week. Um, yeah, so these Rhode Island guys, trying to come and take over. Um, Noah James is, sending a message to the league that he's here. I think he was Offensive Player of the Year for Rhode Island last season, so he's trying to get this going this season too. 35 points for your first game is pretty good. So, talk about Top Dogs a little, DJ, before we move on. It's a free agent team. I mean, a lot of those guys have played before, so and they know each other. It's not a complete free agent team, but a few of those guys are new to Legacy Leagues, and some of those guys have never played with each other. So, talk about what they got to do to kind of, maybe make these games a little closer.
Yeah, They were doing a lot of good stuff, but they were just getting overpowered. I see they're gonna need to start making more, like, shooting less threes going on. Yeah, I know you got like a 3-point competition champion. You got Joey who can shoot threes real good, but they weren't sinking them really. 36.7%, 11 for 30. When you got a team shooting 21 for 47 with a 60% field goal percentage, if you're not hitting them, then you're not really going to be pulling away with anything if you're not also scoring inside.
Yeah, that's the key for Team ASAP. You just got to match their offense. Defensively, they're going to be a problem too. So you really got to be on your A game when you play Team ASAP. They're, showing how they're a top team in this league. Definitely a team to look at every week. I think 2-0 we got ASAP, Reapers, A1, and so far I think those are the three most impressive teams we've seen. You know, Reapers showing why their new guys are the reason they're winning. Uh, you know, A1 showing they can win even when we lose our biggest guy in Dante, and Team ASAP just showing why they're here to show up in Massachusetts. Pure domination from these first few games from them. Um, yeah, but we'll see when one of these teams, meet each other. Talent versus talent. We'll just see what the outcome is of that. Well, Top Dogs is a slow start. It's a tough first game. They had to play the Reapers and ASAP. So we'll see what happens when they maybe play a team that, plays down to their level of play, maybe a little bit closer to that. Yeah, honestly, I think that wraps up that game. And we'll talk. We'll go into a little last question. Um, we'll talk about early predictions for our MVPs, and yeah, so we're gonna call this the 110 Grill question of the week. 110 Grill is our sponsor here. We got to give them a shout out. Check them out. All these, they honestly are everywhere in Massachusetts. So no matter where you are, you're probably close to one. You got one in Boston, Wayland, Braintree, Marlboro, Hopkinton, Wrentham. They're everywhere. Um, get your post-game meals, pre-game meals, get them in at 110 Grill. They're great. So
Some good
check them
food.
out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. DJ knows. Yeah, I'm not gonna say my MVP right away. Y'all can go with yours first. I don't know if you guys who wants to go first. Who wants to get an easy pick if that's what you think, or if y'all got to research, go for it. But last season was Dante. He's not gonna be playing anymore. Season before that was Kevin Views. So maybe he goes back to back. What do you guys think? One of you go.
Um, I say if Noah James, I know it was only his first game, but if he keeps playing the same level he played last game, I think there's no question that he could win it, take it.
Andrew, what are you thinking?
There's a lot of good shooters on every team, but that game winner, you can't really deny it. Everyone saw it. So I think that really just gives Hendel, a good starting point to put himself in the running for MVP, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that was gonna be my pick. I mean, he won us that game. He hit that big shot. That's what MVPs do, when it comes down to those fourth quarters, you turn up, and he kept us in that game. He really did. And that was an important game to win. It was a good little message for the rest of the league. Hey, we might not have Dante, but we still got weapons, and we're here to contest. Especially Run Up is a very good team. They got a lot better this season, and we were able to run with them. So yeah, Hendo is a great pick. So some other guys should be kept in the back of mind. We got Noah James, but Kareem Cooper on Team ASAP also, I think 17 this week. I think he might have had close to 30 week one. If depending on how the season goes, who doesn't show up to what game, that could determine who a Team ASAP MVP would be. Joe Secador has, I think, 2 MVPs already over in Rhode Island, so that's definitely a player to keep an eye on. I said it a little bit ago. Recently, Kevin Views won it 2 seasons ago last summer, so he's averaging 34 points in these first 2 games. That's huge, and they're 2-0. When it comes to a team like the Reapers, if they go undefeated or lose one game, and he's still averaging 30. That's pretty undeniable to who's the most important player on that team. Yala Smith, though, if he steps up a little, if he steps over Kevin, maybe rebounding, maybe assists, blocks, he could average a lot more in certain categories if Kevin Views, isn't scoring the most one night. Yala Smith could be that guy who steps up. For the squad, Diakite Musa has done great these first 2 games. I know they're 0-2, but he's really been their guy leading their way, scoring both games. So he's someone to keep an eye on. Ethan is always in these MVP races, so keep an eye on Ethan for FTG. Denzel Lyles also looking like a top player in this league, so keep an eye on him. Run it up. Sean Yard was in the talk last season. I think he should stay in the talk, even though these last few games have been a little slower for him. He has a better team. That's going to happen. So we'll see who on run it up kind of takes leadership of that team. Tack Gomes also doing pretty good these first 2 games. B2A, it's hard to tell so far. I mean, Cabrera is looking like the top guy so far these first 2 weeks, but you can't deny Daraj is changing that team defensively. He might not score the most every night, but without him in the paint, that team looks different. And it's hard with that team because any given night a guy could go for 20. So top dogs, they still haven't really found their go-to guy yet. Jared led the way or this previous week, but yeah, we'll see what happens with the top dogs. See what guys stand out. Yeah, I would say my pick would be Hendel. Don't sleep on Darwin though. Darwin was in that race last season too, alongside Dante. So yeah, Kevin Views, Hendel, Darwin, those are my guys. I'm just sticking with them. Let me pull up next week's games real quick. I didn't write them down, so I'm gonna check it out real quick. All right. All right, so Reapers got Run It Up. That'll be a good game. FTG, they've got the top dogs. We'll see. FTG, maybe that'll be their first win. We'll see. Both teams fighting for both their first win in that one. B2A versus Team ASAP. That's going to be very interesting. And then our last game is A1 versus the Squad. Squad looking for their first victory, and the A1 obviously looking to still be undefeated from last season. So a lot of good games. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this show. Shout out DJ, shout out Andrew. Thank you guys for your first time here on the Legacy League's post-game show. I've been your host, Cade. We'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Shout out 110 Grill.
Yes, sir.